Hello, it's Friday, everyone. And today, for 2026, March 20th, it is the first day of spring, according to the people who are making their last stance in power and domination over the whole planet. Or actually, more correctly, over the worlds that inhabit planet Earth. So, of course, we know that with spring is a new day, a birth of new life and health, a new paradigm shift that is taking place. And there are many reports out today about the dynamic movements of our sun, that it is throwing off gigantic solar flares, and even the black holes on the sun are dynamic and moving and opening. It has been interacting with the earth, and of course with the people that have been ruling in power. They bring it to something negative, and about the many earthquakes that are taking place, and of course, the summoning of fear through what might happen to the atmosphere. And of course, we know that we can state that there is a great tearing down that is taking place, but there's also simultaneously a great building up. And from what has illuminated for me is that, yes, this is stripping away, the sun is stripping away the old to make room for the new. So while it's stripping, it is also healing those of us who need its rays, who need infusion of its power, and for it to penetrate all of the drudgery and the predatory and the dominating and the perverse nature from peoples who have had hold over the sea, over the sky, and over the lands of this planet through the people that they operated within, the people that they have hypnotized, and the people that they have had in their stranglehold grip of power. So that's all over now, and we can see that readily. It seems like every day something makes history. There's news out there that is changing the course of things that once were into the new dynamic reality that will be comprised of the Most High's children, and those children who are bequeathed with the promise of New Jerusalem, and through them, the world's, I could say the new worlds and the peoples of the earth in time will be blessed. They will be blessed with the return to what was lost by mankind: perfect health, perfect mind, perfect body, perfect spirit, in harmony not only with them within themselves, but with their fellow man, with the planet, and with the solar system, and widely ultimately through the universe, which is what we don't have right now. So real quickly, one thing I want to illuminate also is about the Lord's great army. People presuppose, and what we can see here, looking through the divine eye here, what people presuppose is that Armageddon is going to be some unruly mob or some unruly event that people are going to be running wild in fear and in some type of unaliving fervor. And I want to let you know that that's probably not going to be the case. That probably what's going to be the case is that you're going to have a well-oiled, a well-trained army. You're going to have people and beings that are methodical and that are of the highest level in defense, offense, and providence, which means that the way that they will move will be of such an organizing flair that you would have to know that the Most High's hand is behind them. So I'm going to read you a quick excerpt from the Plan of the Ages, the Day of Jehovah. It's under page 336 out of the Divine Plan of the Ages. And it talks about the typified Israel in Egypt. And we're going to change that to the children of Yah, descendants of American slaves, and the gathering of the great Satan's army, which is basically the rest of the world. So it says here, it says the deliverance of Israel from Egypt and from the plagues which came upon the Egyptians seem to illustrate the coming emancipation of the world at the hands of the greater than Moses, whom he typified. So who is this Moses? Who is the greater Moses of this day that is living right now, the deliverer? It goes on to say it will be a deliverance from Satan and every agency he has devised for man's bondage to sin and error. And so we can actually start to see that coming down now. And we know that the great Satan worked through human beings, and that includes the demonic forces of his army were integral in working with the governments of this nation. Let me continue to read. And as the plagues upon Egypt, and I'm going to say the United States of America, and also to that state in the Middle East, as we can currently see how that is affecting the whole peoples of this planet. It goes on to say, as the plagues upon Egypt had a hardening effect as soon as removed, so the temporary relief from the pains of this day of the Lord would tend to harden some. And they will say to the poor, as did the Egyptians to Israel, ye are idle, or you don't work hard enough, basically. You're not working long enough. And it goes on, and therefore dissatisfied, and will probably, like them, attempt to increase the burden. And this is from Exodus chapter 5, verses 4 through 23. And we can see that throughout the hundreds of years, and in particularly the last 25 years that this has really taken place. And some even the hardening of that in the last 15 to 10 years, that we have seen the actions of the very prominent, very few, and the very powerful exact more out of the masses of humanity while giving them even less to subsist on or to live on. It goes on to say, but in the end, such will wish as did Pharaoh in the midnight of his last plague, that they had dealt more leniently and wisely long ago. And that is Exodus 12, chapter 12, verse 30 through 33. To mark further the similarity called to mind, that the trouble of this day of the Lord are related to the 7 vials of wrath, or 7 last plagues, and that it is not until after the last of these that the great earthquake or revolution occurs, in which every mountain or kingdom or government in high station will disappear. And that can be found in Revelations chapter 16, verses 17 through 20. And so we are at that point that everything that has been happening, including right now, is really that those pangs that is being felt by the whole human family, into a consummation in which there is going to be a rebelling of people, a rebelling of society. And of course, it's going to be to such an extent that the very powerful bloodlines and elites and governments will wish that they had just accepted the offer that as descendants of American slaves that we gave them, which is to give us reparations and to make us whole, to heal the wounds that they had inflicted upon the people of Yah, and that they refused to do. But of course, it will be too late at that moment, because everything will be brought down to naught, basically. And so we are living in that day. And I'm just going to conclude here. It says, another thought with reference to the day of trouble is that it has come just in due time, and that is God's due time. So we are not in control of the timing, and not even the governments of today are in control of what is going on. And we can clearly see that because things that they used to do in the past, similar to this, will work out for them. But we can see now that everything is blowing up in their face. It is not working out at all. It is not going to plan. All right. Okay, it says, it continues on, in the next volume of this work, evidence is adduced from the testimony of the law and the prophets of the Old Testament, as well as from Jesus or Yeshua and the apostolic prophets of the New Testament, which show clearly and unmistakably that this day of trouble, which we are now living in, is located chronologically in the beginning of the glorious millennial reign of Messiah. And Messiah, people are getting this wrong because they're thinking that it's Jesus. Messiah simply means anointed one, anointed ones. And Christ's kingdom is going to be an anointing of people and a official capacity to bring man and mankind back from the fall. And so we are in the millennial reign. We're in the early hours of that reign. It proceeds on. It is this necessary preparation for the coming work of restitution in the millennial age that precipitates the trouble. So in order, we're not going to vote our way out of this. We're not going to petition our way out of this. We're not going to policy our way out of this. There is nothing that we can do. Nothing that we can do. Nothing that can be done civilly in order to upend the world that is going by the wayside. It has to go by fire. It has to go by trouble. It has to go by a great burning, and unfortunately a great loss of life. Now, because these people are so fiendish, they're telling you the truth, but telling you with a lie. So they are saying, putting out here, that AI controlled by them is going to produce this great loss by the billions. And that the loss in of itself, we have to come to terms with that is probably not the number is probably not an untruth. That is probably the truth, but the lie is that they'll be in control of it. They're not going to be in control of it. And the control is that they're dictating that it's going to come through AI. And I propose to you that that's not how it's going to come at all. That is going to come by a great burning, a great fire. And so what had been explained to me is long ago, many years ago, is that every weapon that they have fashioned to use upon really the children, really on us, the descendants of American slaves, that they have threatened us and the world with, that they themselves will have to experience. And, whether you like it or not, that, that these people believe that it's going to be the darker roots of the people that are going to be suffering from it. No, not really. It's going to be the ones of a lighter hue that are going to suffer a great loss. And I've said this in my other audio recordings, that it could be very well an extinction level event for them. But even with that closed door, it will be proof of who we are by us in the future opening it back up for them by the road of resurrection. And that the beings, human and I think otherwise, will be a well-honed army. That these men and women they have already been made ready for this day. They are already walking around as I speak, as you listen. They are already here. And of course, there are many sightings up in the sky that people are not explaining. And of course, we have this alien disclosure that the president is I guess, is going to announce. There was something more recently about the government of America quietly, I guess, opening a domain that's alien.gov or alien.com. So these people, they know that the Lord's great army is already here. It is already here. I don't think that they have activated yet, because there has to be a signal that has to be given before that activation actually proceeds. And what you may find is that that greater Moses, which is, he was an imperfect human being, there may be an imperfect human being also too that will be able to give that signal. And let's just be, we were clear about this when we were talking about the 10 plagues of and that are listed in the Bible, that on the behest of Moses, and I think he also had Aaron with him at that time, on the behest of him engaging, not only literally, but through the Spirit, he was able to call down the death angel. And so this person or persons who are human and imperfect may be given charge to call down the angels in order for them to act. And also to the human element of the Lord's great army to also act. Now, these people, with what is going on in Iran, seemingly, it seems to me that they are trying to imitate that and trying to force it into being, right? And even with the AI, they're trying to force it into being, not realizing that the Most High has already set it in motion. And the Most High has set the universe in this planet, in the laws of the earth, to institute what He commands it to do and what He commands how it will all go down in the end. And so there's more to be revealed on that level, and that they don't have the control that they have told the world. And of course, that's being readily demonstrated. But there is a lot to unpack here, and there's a lot that we are going to see to continue to unfold. All right, I'm going to stop here and stay tuned for my next audio. Thank you.